Hello and welcome to this video. This week, a new flashcard for the DS, DSi and 3DS and DS and DSi mode was released, namely the DSpico. And I just want to talk about a little bit about it. And there are, I think, two main parts which are interesting for the users. First of all, there's this flashcard, which is interesting for people especially interested in the DSi mode. But there's also a launcher which got released with this. It's basically the menu for this card, but also for some other cards, because it's completely open source. Like the card is open source, the menu is open source, everything for this card is open source. So there's also support for many other DS flashcards to use the launcher. For example, for the original R4 card, for the Acekard 2i and other Ace cards, for the M3i0, for the R4i-DS.cn cards, for the R4i-SDHC cards, for the R4i-SDHC cards, for the Ace3DS X and the Ace3DS Plus, for the DST cards, or at least some of them, and for the Supercard Game Boy Advance flashcards. So this video might even be interesting for you if you don't have this card, or if you're not interested in this card but have one of these cards, because the launcher for this card also works with these cards. Excluding the DSi mode or DSi features only work with this card, but everything else also works with these cards. But I will show everything with the DSpico card. Also, the card is not sold by the developers, so you can't just go to a website and order it in a normal way. But the instructions to manufacture it are published, so you can basically order it on websites that allow you to print PCBs, for example. That might be very expensive for small orders, so I think that for very small orders you have to pay like $50 per piece, and also you might have some limits on the least amount of cards you have to order. But I'm pretty sure that in a few weeks or months there will be other resellers which have them for a much lower price, for example on AliExpress also. So I would wait for a few weeks and then see where the price for these cards go. And also it might be possible that in the future there are cards with a proper shell, because like this is also a 3D printed shell, and there are instructions to 3D print it, but that's not the perfect solution. The perfect solution would be a proper plastic shell, and yeah, maybe some reseller for these cards will make a shell at some point, and then you might be able to order a card with a proper shell. Also, this flash card had a few iterations, and it's based on the RP2040 chip, which is also used in the Raspberry Pi Pico. So for the development, and I'm not really part of the I didn't really participate in the development, but I tested for some years for now this card. So I was pretty close to the development, and this basically was the first prototype that everyone from the team made for him or herself. It's basically a Raspberry Pi Pico, which has the RP2040 chip and a micro SD card slot, which is soldered to the Raspberry Pi Pico, and an adapter for the DS card slot. Then there was a second iteration, which only the hardware guy from the team has, because it used a stamp. It wasn't very practical, and then we got basically the first prototype with its own PCB. In this case, it's the DSpico version 1.1. It also has the SD card sticking out a bit, but it also has the RP2040 chip already. And then there was another iteration, which I don't have, because there were always only limited amounts for the iterations. And this is the final version that now got released. The SD card slot fits better, and I think that a few of the pins have changed and so on. I have to be a bit careful when putting this apart, because it's not that stable. Or like it's 3D printed, so it fits, it also holds together, but like it's not the most the most dirty material that's available. It's always a bit of work to open this card. It also uses a micro USB port, which you can use to flash the firmware, but there are also some sample applications. For example, I think there's one to uses the Nintendo DS as a speaker, and that's the PCB for the current version, the version 1.3. There's the RP2040 chip, the micro SD slot, the micro USB plug, and a button to enable the flashing mode, which you can also access through this hole on the side of the shell. And there's also some circuitry, for example, to check the source for the power. Now let me reassemble this. This card, of course, works in DS mode, so you can use it as a normal DS flash card. It also supports to emulate the R4 card, so you can use the official wood menu, which was released for the official R4 card. Also, this card only supports micro SD cards up to 4 GB, but you can only get so there are some special cases with 4 GB micro SD cards, but this one also supports 4 GB micro SDHC cards, which this one doesn't. And most 4 GB micro SD cards are micro SDHC cards, but this also won't support more than 4 GB with wood together. With the official launcher or with the Pico Launcher, you can use bigger micro SD cards with this card. And for DSi Mode, it supports hacked consoles, and there nothing really special is required, but it also supports unhacked consoles. For that, it requires the WFRU tester version 0.60 as a donor ROM. It works similar to the CycloDS iEvolution, not completely similar, but it uses the game to get into the DSi mode. But the special reason why the WFRU tester is used is because, for one, it's region free, so it can be used with all regions without stopping everything. And second, it has all permissions. So for example, this also can use WPA Internet connections with the DSi, which the CycloDS iEvolution was not able to do. It also supports anti-R boot for the DSi and for the 3DS, so you can also use it to install DSi or 3DS custom firmwares. But now I want to show the launcher, and there won't be any cut in this video for that. So now I plug the card into the DSi. It boots relatively fast. On 3DS it's even faster, and that's also, I think, one of the main features of this card. It's a very fast card. So first let me start a DSi exclusive game. Phase training sadly doesn't work because it uses a NAND chip, and NAND games currently aren't supported. But for example, the Wimmelbill creator can be started, and that one works just fine with this card. So this is also the first card to support DSi exclusive games. The CycloDS iEvolution only supported normal DSi Enhanced games. But the DSpico also supports DSi exclusive game, of course, DSi Enhanced games with better compatibility than the CycloDS iEvolution, and also DSiWare. And for DSiWare, it uses basically emunent, there's a backup of the NAND chip of the DSi on the SD card for the DSpico, and then it accesses the backup on the SD card of the DSpico, not the NAND chip of the DSi. Although the card technically can access the DSi NAND, but that's not very secure. It can also support DSi Enhanced games. For example, I can start Tron Evolution, and then I can show you the camera that it works. And you can also see that it starts pretty fast. Of course, when it comes to internet connection, you can't play games online where the servers are down. You either have to use third-party servers, or you simply can't use them. So for example, in Tron you can scan a QR code, so it can access the camera just fine, and I can put this card here, and it also is on the camera. Of course, the other flashcards only support the DS mode, so they can't play DSi exclusive games or DSiWare, but of course DSi Enhanced games in DS mode. And that's also maybe interesting for some cards, because, for example, the Ace3DS Plus and X cards and similar cards don't support Pokemon Black and White 2. And with Pico Launcher, you can simply use the games with the cards. And you can either chain load them, so you can keep the original menu for, I don't know, special features or so. And then you can use the Pico Launcher to run a game which the official menu doesn't support, or you can replace the official menu with flashcart bootstrap. Of course, the Pico Launcher at the moment is very limited in functionality. It supports skins, which is pretty great. It has different layouts, so you can go to the settings and then you can change the layout so that the settings are on the side. Or you can choose this view. Or you can also choose this layout. For this, it's suggested to have images for the games on the SD card, which I don't have, so there are only question mark logos. But if you had the images on the SD card, you would have proper images for the games. But I also prefer this layout. And of course, in the future, additional things might be added thanks to the open source nature of the project. Not everything works now. So, for example, the NAND saves in FaceScan doesn't work yet, and also I think WarioWare DIY uses NAND saves which don't work. There are some games which use the Meta Fortress DRM, like Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands, which also isn't supported yet. And there might be some additional problems with some platforms. So props to the team, apart from me, of course. I'm also like maybe a bit of part of the team because I tested many things during the development. Thanks for watching. You can find the official website with all of the links and information in the description. See you in the next video, and bye.